Hello, I'm Shrike. Today I'm going to be showing you how to attach the latex warmers I made for the Jerry Volley or other such similar avatar accessories and clothing to them so that you can get them set up for VRChat. I'm going to show you how to attach them in Blender, though first of all we're in Unity here. Just so I can show you some initial setup you'll need to do just to make sure you have everything ready for the new model. So you see, make sure you have everything imported properly. You want to import the VRChat SDK down here first, along with the Poyomi Tune shaders. Not every avatar uses them, but many do. The warmers I'm going to be selling definitely do use them, along with the Jerry Volley. You also want dynamic bones, or the free dynamic bones container if you don't want to pay the money for it, and then of course your avatar files. You also want the files for the accessory you're going to be adding, such as my warmers here. This contains the materials for it, which are pretty important. I'm going to go ahead and open the template scene for Jerry here. You can see that it has the kind of all different varieties of it just lined up here. They're all just in stock, standard, default, normal. Nothing's been done to them so far. You can't really attach the warmers as is without doing some clunky bone remapping stuff, which isn't super ideal. So instead, we're going to be needing to move to Blender. Before we do that, I do want to show you where to get Blender. So let me switch over to Firefox here. Where is it? There it is. Okay, well, before getting Blender, of course, you do need to get the blend file for your avatar if it has one. On the Jerry Volley Gumroad page here, it's at the bottom. You see it says listed as a blend. So if your avatar has one, be sure you get that. It just makes things a lot easier so you don't have to import the FBX into Blender yourself. As for getting Blender, you can just get that in Steam. It's pretty simple. Just search for Blender on there. It's free. Download it. Yep. And then once it's in your Steam library, you can go ahead and launch it. And I have it open right here. So you're greeted with as soon as you open it. But you don't really care about this default scene if you got the blend file. If you don't got the blend file for your avatar, you're going to need to import the FBX model for it. You can just do that by just first of all deleting everything here in the default scene, and under File Import FBX, and just look for the FBX file for your model. But assuming you do a blend file, you can say go to File and Open. Don't need to save that default. Search for where you have that blend file. In my case, it's under my Jerry Volley Models folder, and here this is the default blend. Okay, and then here is the Jerry Volley blend. It just doesn't have any here on it right now because of how I set this up with all the here separated own collections, which are kind of hidden by default. For the moment, you won't worry about that. I'm just going to show you right now how to add the actual accessories, such as these warmers, to it. What you're going to want to do is go to File and then Import in an FBX, just as I kind of told you if you don't have one file for your avatar. So select that. Then find your warmers, or not necessarily warmers, but whatever accessories you want to attach. In this case, I do want to attach the warmers, and I have a copy of them right here, again, in my models folder. So when you import that and attach it to the import that, and it's not attached to the model yet, you kind of notice it has like all these extra bones poking on everything. That's because it imported with its own armature. You can kind of just hide that armature there, and those extra bones just kind of disappear. What we need to do is kind of map the mesh of these warmers to use the avatar's armature instead of this separate armature that it imported with. So here on the right side, you have this kind of where it says collections and all that. This is the hierarchy of your Blender scene. It's very similar to what the hierarchy is like in Unity. And I can kind of just look under objects and find more objects, and then each of those objects has their own properties. In this case, those properties show in these windows down here. So choose these this warmers object right here. So it has like an upside down triangle next to it. That triangle indicates it's a mesh, and you want to click on that mesh. Down to properties, you'll see these kind of buttons here. First of all, you want to choose this like kind of little orange square button. Choose that. And you'll see parent here. Click on that parent and change it to just armature. Yeah, and you'll see that kind of the things kind of changed there as it kind of hopped out of like this armature it was in. Now it's technically in this armature up here. You can see kind of listed there. Because of the collections, it's actually down here, but if you're kind of confused, you can just kind of drag the warmers and move it up here into collection 1. And now it's properly in there. Yeah. After moving it like that, then you need to go back down to the, first of all, make sure you still have the warmers mesh selected, and then go back down here to this little wrench icon in blue. Click on that. You'll see it has this armature 0.001 modifier. The name of that doesn't really matter. What does matter is this object here. Click on that object and change that again to just armature. And now it's actually mapped to the armature of the avatar and not the armature it imported with. In fact, we can go and delete that imported armature. Select it and hit delete. There you go. Now what we can do is I can go into pose mode here just to demonstrate to you. If I actually choose the right thing. Why is that? Oh, I hit it. Never mind. I don't know why that was hidden. If something's not showing properly, just click this little icon until it, it's on. Yeah, so I can choose this armature here and go to pose mode. And grab this like arm bone here. If I move this arm bone, you'll see that the warmers move with it. So that means it's now attached properly to the avatar's armature. Now, before we can export this back into Unity, we do need to make sure that we add the hair we want onto it. There's these 4 different hairstyles for Jerry here. You want to make sure you only choose one of them to attach. So what you need to do first is just pick your hair, and then it has, during these collections here, collection 2, 3, 4, and 5, right click on the collection you want, you go to visibility, and then show all inside. And that'll show, like in this case, the flopped hair on the avatar. It's not technically on there though, because again, the armature is not really attached to the main one. In this case, we do want this armature because this armature adds the hair bones for the hair. So what we need to do is we select this like flopped hair armature or whatever armature for the hair you are using. Hold down Control and then choose the armature for the main avatar. And now you see we have both of them selected. Now make sure you're in object mode using this drop down here. Make sure it says object mode and then click on object and then join. And once you do that, you notice the flopped hair armature disappeared out of here and it's now instead under here. This armature 002 object. Now it's still not attached properly because this flopped hair parent bone is just kind of on the root of the avatar basically and won't move properly with the head. To fix that, we need to choose this flopped hair parent and go to into edit mode. You can hit tab or just change this drop down to edit mode down here. Then in the right side, click on this bone icon at the very bottom of the properties list. Make sure it says flopped hair parent or again, whatever hair you did choose. Scroll down here a bit, and you'll see this parent field here. So it'll be blank by default because it's not parent to do anything. What you need to do is click on this. You can type in the bone you want, or you might be able to just find it by scrolling in this list. You need to attach to the head bone, or in this version of Jerry, it's called the skull bone. It's going to be renamed to head in a future update, but for now it's skull bone. So we just click on that. And now if we just look through here, you'll see that it's moved out of the root there and onto this head bone here, or rather skull bone. And now the hair will move properly with the avatar. The flopped hair mesh is already fine. It's in the collection too, but it's parented to the avatar, as you can kind of see by it being a bit grayed out in this list. If you want, you just go ahead and move this into collection 1 like we did in the warmers before. Okay, so now that we have everything properly attached to the avatar here, we can go ahead and export it. To do that, all you need to do is select a few things here. You want to make sure you only select what you want to export because there's a bunch of stuff in the scene you don't want to export. And even if it's not showing, it will actually export it unless you make sure that it's not selected. So go ahead and select the armature here. Hold down Control and then select the hair you're using, the warmers, and then the body mesh. Make sure you have those 4 and only those 4 things selected. Then go up here to File, Export, FBX. Click on that. You want to make sure you limit to selected objects up on this side. And scroll down a bit. Uncheck Baked Animations in the armature box and uncheck Add Leaf Bones. Then go ahead and look for your Unity project. You should hopefully know where you have this saved. In my case, I have it saved in this Jerry folder here. Then go to the Assets folder for the Unity project. Go into the Jerry folder in there, or whatever folder your avatar is using. Look for wherever your model FBX is stored. In this case, it's stored in this models folder. You'll see it has these 4 different FBX files for each of the hairstyles. Since I added the side flopped hair, we're going to select the side flopped hair file and then export FBX. Now, that should have been replaced in Unity by now. It might take a bit to export it, depending on the speed of your computer. So when you go back to Unity here, switch the scene to it, and then open it back up myself. You can't see this, but it's showing this import dialog. Just give it a moment while Unity does its work. Again, this may take a bit depending on the speed of your computer. Oh, there it goes. Once it's finished importing a new file, you'll see that the warmer showed up on your avatar. And hopefully everything should show like this. If you're missing the body or the hair, it means you didn't export those meshes along with the rest of everything. And so make sure you go back, select those, and export again. Now, if I expand the avatar here on the left side, you'll see that it has these warmers selected. And if I go and choose one of the bones, let's do this knee bone again for no reason, you'll see that it does actually twist the warmers with the bone this time. I'm actually not sure if I showed that before without it. That may have been a different cut of the video. If so, then ignore what I said about it being nothing in. I've had many cuts and edits of this video. I'm losing track of everything. Now, if we select the warmers, you'll see that they have their 2 materials on here. These are just the default materials baked into the FBX I provided. They're not really the ones you want to use. For that, you want to go to the warmers folder you should already have in your project. If not, then make sure you do put it in your project. You'll see it has these 2 materials here. This first one's for the warmers latex. The second one's for the warmers stripes. Just go ahead, grab the latex material out of your assets folder. If it wants, here we go. Grab it, and then just drag it onto your avatar's warmers. As you can see, as long as you just kind of hover it over anywhere on the actual latex body part, then it should be fine. And let's drop it in there. Now you have the first material applied. Take the second material, again, drag and drop it onto the stripes. And there you go. You'll see that the other avatars in the scene with these warmers did not get those materials updated. It's because those are dependent on the mesh render on the avatar itself. So if you do have multiple avatars like that and you want them all updated, you need to make sure you put the materials on each of them individually. Okay. Now, if you want to change like the color or anything, like color these stripes, you can go ahead and choose the warmer stripe material. I already have selected it here on the right side. Go ahead and here, color and alpha, and just change this color. Like say I want it kind of more my purplish pink there. That's good. Okay, I'm just going to take a little breather now, and then I'm going to show you how to make toggles for these so you can actually toggle the warmers on and off. Okay, welcome back. I've got my drink now because my mouth is running a bit dry. So the next step in setting up this avatar is to add some toggles so you can turn those warmers on and off. Toggles are a really convenient thing to have on your avatar in VRChat, and many people don't understand how to do it, just like they don't understand how to add accessories like this in Blender. Once you understand, though, it's pretty easy to do. So here I'm going to go ahead and show you. I might provide the animation files with these warmers when I sell them, but for now I'm just going to show you how to make them from scratch, and I don't actually have them yet. What you need to do is, well, I just reset to the default view on here, and I do not have the animation view, so if you don't see animation down here along with project in the console, then you want to make sure you go to Windows up here, animation, and choose animation. I'm pretty sure it is. There you go. It's in a separate window. I'm just going to drag that tab onto the window down here like that. And once you have this animation tab here, you select the avatar you're working on. I'll say to begin animating the avatar, create an animation clip. Click on create. And then again, you can't see this window. That's unfortunate. But yeah, basically a Windows Explorer pop-up will come up. You can just go to wherever you want to save the animation clip. I'm just going to save it to the warmers folder I'm working on. You can name it whatever you want. In this case, it's just going to be show warmers. Hit enter. I typed something wrong. Yeah, what the hell? Oh, wait. Oh, no, this is an issue with Jerry. I can't create the controller. So, just to create an animation. So, what's going on here is that because of this pipe character in the Jerry name, it can't create the animation controller file. I'll just show you how to do that manually then. So, let's go to your projects tab here under the assets. You can put it anywhere in the assets folder you want. Let's go put it in the root of assets. Just right click on it, go to create. I really wish OBS would show this. Go to create and then scroll down to animation controller. I'll create this kind of blank animation controller. I'm just going to name it animation test. It doesn't really matter what you call it. And once you have this blank animation controller, choose your avatar again, and then slot that into where it says controller here. It'll have the animator component and controller, which by default should be in most avatars none. Just drag and drop it into there. Now I can go back to the animation tab. Create again. This time, just use overwrite that one just made in case you're following along with this strictly. If not, go ahead and create your file here this time. There we go. And now I actually have this animation in here. It's just a blank animation, nothing in it so far. Now, in my case, I want the warmers to be off by default. So what I'm going to do is do a few things first. I've actually set the materials up to have a dissolve effect. So to have this kind of dissolve in and out properly, I'm going to go in here to this dissolve alpha and the materials. Actually, first of all, just to kind of elaborate, one thing that kind of trips people up is they go to the materials to the project assets like this and select them that way. You can't animate materials if you do that. You have to make sure that you choose them in the mesh renderer. So in this case, I'm choosing the warmers here in the hierarchy on the left side. And we'll have these materials shown over here on the right side. So you have the warmer stripes and latex. Just go ahead and expand on those. I'm going to scroll this dissolve alpha for the dissolve all the way to the full. And I'm wondering why that is not. Wait, oh no, never mind, it's fine. I was just not seeing things properly. Yeah, I'm going to do that for both of them. Then I'm going to want to turn the mesh renderer off for these warmers. It's probably fine if you also turn it off up here. It turns the entire object off. But for these, when I do dissolve effects like that, I prefer to just turn the mesh renderer off rather than the entire object. It probably doesn't make a huge difference. Now, this is kind of the default state of the avatar I want, where it just doesn't have anything shown. So you can go back to my animation. It has this blank animation I made to show the warmers. Make sure you have that selected here, kind of in this drop down. It's the only one in there right now. And what you can do is click on this record button. Once you do that, it'll push the avatar in a state where anything you do to the avatar will be recorded in this animation. So if I go and just move a bone around, like this left knee, which seems to be my habitual thing I move now, you'll see that it kind of recorded that position and rotation and the animation. Now, I don't actually want those in there. I'm just going to delete them. I can select them and just delete. Now I choose the warmers again. What I do want is I want the dissolve alpha to turn to 0 for the animations. So I'll slide those to 0. You'll see if I do it to one, it does it to both of them. This is because they have the same property name. It's a bit convenient. I also want to turn the skin mesh renderer back on. You'll see that now those are shown properly. I'm going to go ahead and turn the recording off here. Sorry, I'm getting a few messages. Okay, back now. So anyway, as I was saying, now that you have this animation set up, you'll see that has a skin mesh renderer being turned on here with a checkbox. In the skin mesh renderer, expand this a bit, material dissolve alpha set to 0. This is all you need in the animation. Just a single frame is fine for it. Some old tutorial will say you need 2 frames, but that's no longer true. So now what you'll need to do, go to the root of your avatar up here, so just select this one. Scroll down a bit, you'll see that this gesture, action, and FX layer. If it doesn't have these, then you kind of need to make them from scratch, and that's a bit more complicated. But, well, the Jerry Volley does have them, so we don't need to worry about any of that. You also see this menu and parameters down here. What we're going to do first is go to menu. So just double select menu. Oh, actually, no, let's go to do parameters first. That's probably easier. Double select parameters. We'll then need to add a parameter up here. And then as to the end of the list, just go ahead and rename that to something. In this case, I'm going to be doing warmers. Want it on a bool here. Default can be on or off depending on your preference. In this case, I want the default to be off. And then you can choose if you want to be saved with your avatar, like when you change avatars or not. Go back to your avatar root, scroll back down, now choose menu. And on the new control here, so just choose add control, expand on new control there. We're going to rename it to just latex warmers in this case. Change the type to a toggle, and change the parameter set to that warmers one we added. Then we go back to the avatar root one more time, scroll down, and now choose FX, double click on it. Okay, it'll open this animator tab up here. Underneath that tab, you'll see this other tab. It's just tabs upon tabs in Unity. And choose parameter. Then choose the add button here, bool, and we'll call it warmers again, just like we did in the parameters before. These defaults don't really matter. You can just ignore those. You go back to the layers tab. Plus here to add another layer. I'm going to call those once more warmers. Now, before you do anything else, choose this gear icon. A lot of people kind of forget this and messes things up. You need to choose this gear icon, change its weight to 1. Scroll all the way over. You'll see this line underneath the layer, just kind of going, back and forth as I move it. Make sure it's filled in all the way to make sure that kind of takes full effect. Then need to go back to the project assets down here. Find that animation you made. I put that in the Jerry Warmers folder now, so it's in here. Here it is. Show warmers. Just drag it into the scene. Now I forgot to create a new idle state, and I always do this, so you're gonna see now it's a default state. Gonna go ahead on right click on like anywhere in this kind of grid here. Just right click on the grid and choose create state and empty. I'll just create this new state. Now go ahead and right click on that new state and choose set as layer default state. And now it becomes orange. Yeah, you kind of line those up however you want. Right click on new state and click on make transition. And click on show warmers. You'll see it makes like a line between them. You do the same in reverse. Click on show warmers, make transition, and go back to new state. In fact, if you want, you can rename new state. Usually I do waiting or idle. So there we go. This will just say that once the animation starts playing, like when your avatar loads, it'll go to this idle state. The idle state is not playing any animation there, it's just kind of playing, it'll be the default state of your avatar. Then click on this transition going to show warmers. You need to just add a few things here. Under conditions, it'll say list is empty. Click on the plus there. Change the parameter here to warmers and make sure that says true. Up here, you want to turn off has exit time. Has exit time means it'll basically transition automatically after a set time, and you don't want that. You only want to trigger on this condition. Now, since the warmers do have an animation with the dissolved alpha, you can kind of play around with how long you want this transition to take as the transition duration. Around 0.25 to 0.35 is probably fine. Maybe like 0.30, and that should be good. Now you want to click on the transition from show warmers to idle. On the conditions, you want to do the reverse, and that you add the warmers parameter, and this time you want it to be false. So that way it'll transition to show warmers when it's true and transition back to idle when it's false. And again, you'll want to disable has exit time, and probably want to set the transition duration to the same value you used before. And that's pretty much it, really. Now you have these transitions going to and from the warmer state. Here on idle, motion shows there's none in there, no animation. And under the show warmers, it'll have that animation remade. Oh yeah, also, if you kind of go back to the scene view and you see your avatar in this kind of crouched pose, go back to the animation tab down here and uncheck preview, and it'll just return to normal. That should really be all, really. Then you just go to your SDK. Up here I have the VRChat SDK in the tab, just so I can more easily show you. This was site flopped here, full dynamic. Find that one. There it is. You may get errors like this one, the map textures errors. Click on auto fix. There we go. And you'll notice the addition of the warmers did push the polygons over 70,000, so it's very poor. There's not much you can do about that. The polygon limit to VRChat's kind of my bane at this point. Yeah, and I should be able to just upload it and it'll just work in game. That should be all, really. So, yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. I may not always be available because I can be kind of busy, but I'll try to answer them if I can. So hope you enjoy this video and the warmers if you bought them. Yep, thank you and goodbye.